Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. We appreciate you being here this wonderful Thursday afternoon. Again, we are going to get started here or continue with what we've been talking about this week. On Monday, we had Anita Moncrief. She's on the Board of Advisors of the Black Conservatives Fund, a brand new PAC that was opened on Monday, that came to life on Monday. And the purpose of this PAC is to get black conservative candidates elected in the 2014 election cycle and beyond. The PAC is also interested in doing as much work in the black community as possible, because it is so needed. Let me see if I can get rid of that echo. There you go. To win the hearts and minds of those in the African American community, in the black community. So what this PAC is set up to do is to go into these communities and set up an infrastructure that allows the black conservative thought to become a part of the dynamic, and to create a new narrative, to create the truth narrative of what black conservatism is all about, and what black conservatives are all about. And this is going to be, as people, as you can guess, is going to be an uphill struggle, but it is indeed a struggle worth making. It is the answer, in my opinion. It is truly the answer to what ails not only the black community or the or an impoverished community. It is the answer to what ails America. The Black Conservatives Fund Board of Advisors is a who's who of superstars, rock stars, in the black conservative movement. Again, I mentioned Anita Moncrief, who was on the show Monday, K. Carl Smith, who's been on the show a number of times, Ken Blackwell, Priscilla Smith, Sonny Johnson, C.L. Bryant, who's going to be on today and has been on before, Kevin Daniels, Ron Miller, Alfonso Rachel, Eric Rush, and of course Alfonso Rachel has also been on the show. So it is going to be a fantastically led group of people that the fund has gathered to lead this PAC into territories politically and socially, and of course media-wise that no conservative or Republican's ever been. We're going to do it in a way that just simply hasn't been done before, and knowing that it's going to be uphill, but doing it in a way that simply hasn't been done before, addressing a number of the points that we've been trying to address, frankly, since 2009. So I'm very, very excited about being some small part in the rollout this week of the Black Conservatives Fund. If you want to know more about the fund, go to www.blackconservativesfund.com. That's blackconservativesfund.com. And you can learn more about it. And again, you can see the Board of Advisors, and you can see some of the candidates that the fund has already decided that they're going to support. Again, in just a little bit, C.L. Bryant of the who's on the Board of Advisors of the Black Conservatives Fund is going to call into the show. I am getting to the point where I am finally getting to the point that I'm becoming a little bit comfortable with calling someone of the status of C.L. Bryant a friend of mine. One of the things that was that has been kind of wonderful as I recover from triple bypass surgery that I had about 13 weeks ago is that I got a call a few weeks ago on my cell phone, and it was C.L. Bryant. And he was just asking me how I was doing. So that meant an awful lot to me. That just meant an awful lot to me. That somebody of the stature of a C.L. Bryant would call me on my phone to ask me how I was doing. That meant a great deal to me. And so we are again. So this is running in these circles with people again like Alfonso Rachel and Eric Rush and C.L. Bryant and K. Carl Smith, who I'm considering a friend of mine, is an amazing thing for me personally. To brush up against greatness on a daily basis has been an amazing thing. The candidates that the Black Conservatives Fund have already decided to support for U.S. Senate in Oklahoma is T.W. Shannon. The House Representatives in Utah, Mia Love, and in Mia Love again spoke in 2012 here in Tampa at the Republican National Convention and just rocked the place out. Mia is one of the best-known Republican candidates in the nation. She burst into the scene and was amazing at the Republican National Convention here in Tampa. And in 2012, and although she did not win her race in 2012, it was by a gnat's butt. It was very, 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 very hard fought race. So that gives us the, I think that gives us the encouragement. I think that gives us the encouragement to move forward. I think that Melinda is asking me. I think that Melinda in my chat room is asking me if the fund is going to support Tim Scott, and I believe that the fund is planning, from what I've heard, is planning to support Tim Scott as well. And Ken Blackwell is on our advisory board. So there you go. So I hope that answers all your questions. Melinda had a question about Ken Blackwell, Mia Love, and Tim Scott. Those announcements, as things move forward, will be coming fast and furiously. So you need to go ahead and go to blackconservativesfund.com, and you can keep up with who the fund is endorsing and supporting as those announcements are being made. Right now on the website, the two main candidates are T.W. Shannon for U.S. Senate in Oklahoma and Mia Love for the House of Representatives in Utah. So it is the missing piece to the struggles that Black conservatives have faced since 2009 and before. This is the missing piece. This is and some people will say that we are playing identity politics. And I'm being involved in identity politics, and I've said on the show before, here's the deal. Here's the deal, folks. If you don't think the other side is playing identity politics and whipping your ass doing it, then you're wrong. Then you're wrong. Then you're just wrong. So unless we start looking at this new, which I think is a new market differently and addressing it differently, we will continue to lose in that marketplace. And yes, the inner city, and we talked about this, golly, in the beginning of last year. Actually, before that, after I got back from Virginia, you remember I was blessed enough to do election coverage for the Liberty News folks, and as we watched the results come in, I remember watching the maps and looking at all the places that were bright blue around the country. that were bright blue. And it was in the inner city around the country. It was in black areas and minority areas, minority districts around the country. And and as much as the people who were around me are awesome people. I was there with doing election coverage with Dwayne Lester of All American Blogger, who I built a very fast friendship with. Amazing person. Love Dwayne Lester. All American Blogger. It's a great blog. Go out there and check him out. He lives somewhere in Missouri, some backwater town, where his family is at least a fourth of the population of that town. He's got about 27 kids. Okay, I'm okay, Dwayne. I'm joking, because someone will get this to Dwayne and Willie said you had a bunch of kids. Well, he does have a bunch of kids. They have like 8. They have like 7 or 8 children. But he's a fantastic young man, and him and again I was there with the folks at Liberty News, Eric Odom, whom I'm sure if you listen to the show, because Eric's been on this show before, and as we're watching the returns come in 2012, there was much disappointment and in a way surprise. But I wasn't surprised because we had said on this show and shows like this, we had said that unless the Republican Party gets into those communities and does its work in 2011, that Barack Obama would be elected president again, and that didn't happen. It didn't happen, and part of the hope and the dream of the Black Conservatives Fund is to get into these communities and build an infrastructure for the dispersal of the conservative idea and ideals. I think that is important as anything else. That's the deal. So, and being able to do that, and again build an infrastructure, black candidates especially can decide that they are going to run for office in minority districts. Building that infrastructure and building that support is extremely important. Here in Florida, where the RPOF, the Republican Party of Florida, has lost, is this, that they have not been able to elect a black Republican in any major race in the state. That's a failure. And it isn't because they haven't had qualified candidates, and it isn't just because the races have been hard, and that's not it. They've misplayed every single one of them, and decided that it was too difficult and not to support those candidates, no matter how qualified they were. There's a race right now going on in the state of Florida in Congressional District 5 that the Republican Party of Florida should be holding their primary up to the nation, because there's 2 women in this primary. One's a black woman, Glo Smith, and the other is a Vietnamese American, Thuy Lo, who are running for the Republican nomination to face Corrine Brown in District 5. Think about this. Think about how this blows every stereotype out of the water. How this destroys the liberal socialist MSNBC narrative about what the Republican Party is. Right now, the Republican Party in District 5 in Florida, in its primary, has a Vietnamese American woman going up against a black woman. So much for the war on women, and so much that the Republican Party is all about white men. So what does the RPOF decide to do? Be quiet and stay out of it. Now, it's really been their policy not to get involved in primaries, but in this particular instance, there is an opportunity. There's such a great opportunity. It's such a great opportunity to write a new narrative about who you are and what you're about, and who's drawn to you in this particular race, and it would give both of those candidates a huge boost in their name recognition if RPOF decided to get involved. And you know what? And actually, if the National Republican Party, if GOP decided to get involved, and if nothing else, to highlight this race as to what the Republican Party looks like. That you have a conservative black woman running against a Republican Vietnamese American woman. What a great opportunity! And this is a race. I believe that at some point that the Black Conservatives Fund will get involved with at some point. So again, we're excited about what's going on here. And today on the show is a man that, like I said before, I'm getting a little bit more comfortable because I hold him in such high esteem. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable saying that he is a friend of mine, and he is concerned about what happens to me. Again, one of the best things that's happened during my recovery is that I got a call from him asking how I was as I was recovering. We're 13 weeks into this recovery from open heart surgery, and we're doing better. We got our voice. We're getting our voice back, and we're getting our swag back. So we're getting a little better. So without further ado, because I believe that he is on the line and he is got a bunch of work to do, is one of the advisors on the board of advisors of the Black Conservative Fund and the heart, mind, soul behind the award-winning movie Runaway Slave, C.L. Bryant. C.L., are you there?
Yes, Willie, I am here. God bless you and keep you. My prayer is that you are whole in every way.
Amen. I appreciate that greatly. So how are you this glorious day?
I am doing fantastically well. I am in the nation's capital. I was over in Chantilly last night, or a place called Clifton last night, with a group of Republican women, and had a great time. The Lord really blessed us.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. You know, that's interesting that you were there with a group of Republican women. I don't know if you heard. There's a race going on in here in Florida. Glo Smith in District 5. Glo Smith is in a primary with Thuy Lo. Thuy Lo is a Vietnamese American Republican, and this race for me highlights or should be able to highlight what the quote new Republican, and I'm using this as my own phrase, what the new Republican Party looks like and should look like. This is not the old white guys party anymore when you have someone like Thuy Lo and Glo Smith involved in a primary right there in the heart of the state of Florida. I'm sad that that race is not getting more publicity, but that's why the Black Conservatives Fund exists.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And you know, Willie, I believe that the community of conservatives and Republicans, grassroots people, are definitely growing, and I think it is time now for the truth about who we have been historically to be revealed, and I think for far too long, somehow, for whatever reason, we've kept that under wraps. But it's time for us to tell our story.
And that's and that is the crux of what the BCF is all about. There's been a narrative written by mainstream media and Democrats and the like about what Black Republicans or Black conservatives were all about, and what conservatives in general were all about. And part of our mission here, part of the Black Conservatives Fund mission, is not to just correct that narrative, but to destroy it and write a brand new one that's not based in innuendo and hate and anything else but truth. So that was one of the things that I was so excited when I learned that you decided to serve on the board of advisors, because I know that you are a man that operates in truth, and which is evident by everything I've ever seen you do. And once I understood how you got involved in the conservative movement after leaving that one ministry to take up the mantle of another one, I was stoked, because
I certainly appreciate that encouragement, and I'll say to one and all that this is not something that I do because it's popular or in vogue. It is something I do because I know it's right. And if God had stopped blessing me when I made the decision to step down from the third pulpit that I had served in 35 years, I would have known that quite possibly I'd made the wrong decision. But instead, he continues to expand the territory and the coast that he allows me to operate in. And I caution us as we move forward as black conservatives to be certain that our motives are clear and also our motives are pure. This is not a hustle. There's many obstacles and in the way of achieving our goals. And I think that the mission itself will weed out those who are here for any other reason other than making our nation a better place.
And I'm glad that you brought it up, but I'll finish it. I don't have any problem finishing it. There have been a number of, and because somebody asked me the other day when I was explaining to them about the Black Conservatives Fund, there had been a number of other organizations, and I don't even want to call them organizations, but entities out there that have shown up, and it has not been the nation's, in the nation's best interest. It had been for self-interest, and I think you're right. I think that as long as we stay on a path that's pure, that will weed out those that have self-interest or interests other than the betterment of the nation and the communities that we're going to go. That we're going to go work in, that we're already working in.
Willie, I want it to be made. I want it to be made very clear to all, and I make this very clear to all who I associate with, that I will not participate in anything or with anyone who does not operate within the bounds of integrity and principle. The minute I sense that something is different or going in a direction that is not above board, I will be gone, and I will tell everybody why.
Well, I think that's very, very important. Because it keeps that's the thing that keeps everybody who's involved on the straight and the narrow, and knowing the folks that are involved in this project. I can't even in my wildest dreams see that will ever become a problem, which is why I'm excited about being involved, because I know that on the other end of this there will be success like no one could have ever imagined. I see in a year, there are people who are going to say, where did these people come from? How did this happen? And why didn't we know? And why didn't we know about this, in 2011 or 2009? Well, the fact of the matter is that everybody who's on this board of advisors, I've spoken to at one point or another, and this groupthink about the approach. This community approach was in all of them all at the same time. As you know, that I spoke to you, and I spoke to, of course, K. Carl, and it's been this push, this importance in getting the conservative message into the communities and building that infrastructure there and opening the free exchange of ideas in those communities on a real live grassroots basis. K. Carl is all about going into your local barbershop and getting it done.
Yes, and I applaud him on his efforts. As you're saying, there is a menu of ideas that are being brought together. All of us do not take the same approach as others, but together I know that all of our values, the ones that we have hooked our wagons to, our goals are the same, our core values are the same, our approach in some instances may be different, but yet our goal is the same, and that is to enlighten a group of people for far too long who have been hoodwinked and bamboozled, led astray by so-called leaders of the black community. And now we're not trying to lead anyone. We're simply trying to reveal truths that have been purposely hidden for so many years. And I'm glad to be a part of it, and I will offer whatever 2 cents I have to push across the table.
Well, I think that you have more than 2 cents, CL. I think that you've got thousands. I think what you have to offer is priceless, frankly. And I know that it's been invaluable to me and invaluable to my family. You know what? It's funny. It just happened to have been a circumstance that my son, who's 23, had an opportunity to watch Runaway Slave before I got to it, and he was indeed the driving force to make sure that I had sat down and watched the entire movie, because because the movie had such an incredible effect on him, and it encouraged him in a way that was really, really exciting to see.
I'm glad to hear that young people are beginning to discover Runaway Slave, and we're in the process now of putting together the next film that will be out right around 2016 before the presidential election. And I am definitely targeting in this next film, which will be called Red, White, and Black, the younger set of people, Americans, black and white. And our content of caricature is taking off on college campuses, and we expect to do about 5 of them in the fall. The summer is fastly approaching, and we're setting those things up, and on into the spring of 2015. And so, but in the fall of this next year, we're looking to approach college campuses or beyond college campuses such as Grambling, Southern, Morehouse, historic black campuses, and take the message there that it is very important to bring to the table the content of our characters so as we can contribute to our society instead of being a burden upon it. And so I look forward to working with you and others in that endeavor, as well as the new film.
Well, I'm looking forward to the content of caricature. I was blessed enough to participate when the tour came to Tampa, and I'm looking forward to especially anytime you're going to be in the state of Florida. Bethune University, of course, is a historically black college university in beautiful Daytona, and Florida A&M in Tallahassee. I think that would be.
Yeah, we'd love to have you open those doors and help us reach the right people to get there. And we would love to put you on a panel at either one of those colleges or both of them.
That'd be awesome. Anything I can do to help. You know me. Anything I can do to help. I have a question from our friend Ken McClinton of the Exceptional Conservative Show. I think you know Ken. He's in D.C. His question is: should the PAC focus on national or local races?
The PAC, by design and by makeup, would have to focus on both local and national elections. A PAC and a PAC such as ours in its truest form will by necessity, have to have a national presence, although we do realize that all politics is local. So we plan to, the way I would envision it, do both.
Well, and I think that's important, because the big mistake is that the local elections are often ignored, and so when it comes time for that farm team of candidates to be drawn into the national picture, the coverage usually bare, because those elections on the local level have been ignored, and
right.
So the city council, the county commission, the mayoral elections, and those kind of things, even the state house and state senate elections get ignored. So when you're looking for that, that's the second string to move into those national spots, no one's there. It's because
right.
they get ignored.
Right.
I live in Hillsborough County, CL, and we've got the 8th largest school district in the county, and our school board people are responsible for nearly $1 billion in budget. It is no small mom and pop operation here, and again, going back to school board, that's an election that nobody's paying attention to until, of course, Common Core show up in your backyard, and then you wonder who have you elected? Well, because you weren't paying attention, you elected people who, of course, accept it. So now they're upset. But it's always been my thing. You didn't pay attention before because it didn't matter to you before, but now it matters. So local elections are extremely important, I think.
Right. I lived out many years ago now, over 20 years ago, when it was a different type of neighborhood. I lived in Town and Country for many years, and Hillsborough County has always been a very vital force in Florida politics. In fact, it elects, in many cases, governors and pushes presidents even over the top when it comes to Florida. And so, yes, locally, it is important to groom the right candidates coming out of Hillsborough County, and I can think of other counties around the nation where it will be important for us to have a local presence so that whatever candidate that may emerge onto the national scene will be well versed in what his constituents would like to have represented in D.C. or even in the state houses.
That's exactly right. Hillsborough County, as elected, is a very good predictor of who is going to be president, especially in the past 4 or 5 election cycles. So it is extremely important that we groom the right people to hold those offices. That is for sure. CL, how did you hear about the Black Conservatives Fund? I know that you sort of told me when we talked yesterday, but tell my listeners, who was the driving force that pushed you over the top?
Well, my friend, I have a friend, Anita Moncrief, who, she is really a dynamo. And there's other programs and projects that she and I are involved in together in other parts of the nation. But when Anita called and told me about it, I, of course, have a lot of respect for her and also the people that she associated with, national names. I don't want to name drop here, but national names that you would know. And when she called and told me about it, naturally I had some questions, some concerns, but she put me at ease quickly about it. And I thought to myself, well, if Anita is involved in it and feels good about it, and of course she told me that Willie Lawson was on board, and she named a few others, I thought it would be more than good and appropriate for me to throw in my lot with you guys.
Yeah, she's I had a chance to talk with her over the past week, and what I've learned is that she is indeed a dynamo. She has one speed, wide open, full speed ahead.
That is
that's
true.
it.
That is absolutely true.
That's
and
it.
she's serious. She's a serious woman. She's a serious person. And I take very seriously the things that she brings to the table. And a woman to be respected and also admired.
And all at the same time in that seriousness, she's actually absolutely delightful to be around. Delightful.
Yeah.
And
we do wish her well, by the way. And Willie, I'm glad that your health is good, and we pray that God keeps you and Anita and all that are associated with us in good health. Well,
I appreciate that. It's been nice getting back to work. The job that I have. Teaching, but it's also been nice to get back to work. I'm doing this kind of thing. I mean, it's really kind of sparked me in the past few days, and I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling revived and renewed and ready to go. I mean, I tell people around me that I did. The whole idea was not to die so I could get back to my life, and this is my life.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing. The whole idea not to die was to get back to my life. So, and that's what we're, with the help of God and the help of my family, my son and my wife have been amazing, just absolutely amazing. And
I encourage everyone to, who is a believer. It doesn't work for you if you don't believe the Word of God. But if you are a believer, I encourage everybody to pray the Word of God, Psalms 91 in particular, over your life daily. Accept and receive His words over your life on a daily fashion. There are many other scriptures that you can say to our Father in heaven, Daddy, you said that this is what your promises are to me, and I guarantee you that He is not a man that He should lie. He is God. And if you speak His words back to Him, He will honor His words, Willie. I assure you of that.
Amen. So, and that's exactly how we've been doing it for the past 13 weeks. We had surgery 13 weeks ago, almost 13 weeks ago today, as a matter of fact. So we have come a long, long, long way. I know that I know personally that God is good. Sometimes we say that, see how people say that, but they don't have any real knowledge of how good God is. And
yes,
when I went in and coded in the emergency room and coded for, as a medical term, for your heart stopped and you died, and they didn't know whether I was going to live that week. Nobody knew if I was going to live that week or not. It didn't look good. And now that I'm sitting here, and I know that God is good because I know I've come a long, long way.
And brother, you tell everybody of the goodness of the Lord. I mean, you tell everybody of the goodness of the Lord. And because, see, the grave can't praise Him, but you can. And one of the reasons that I believe He keeps us here when we come through those types of storms and valleys is so that we may sing His praise. And so He kept you from the grave, and so now you praise Him. And so I thank you for giving me the opportunity to testify. Because the bottom line is, all in all, whatever the Lord causes me to do, whether it's make films, write books, what have you, do radio, what have you, I'm a preacher. And will always be. Whether I go back to the pulpit eventually, God knows. But whether I'm preaching on a street corner, I'm still a preacher. And so I can't help but tell you, anybody, everybody, from whatever mountaintop, that God is a good God, as He is worthy to be praised.
That is true, sir. That is true. So I'm going to be really selfish. So when you headed back to my area?
I will be down there, Willie, in, I believe it is August, that we have planned to be back there. Follow me on Twitter at Rev CL Bryant, at Rev CL Bryant, and then the website, which may change because we're about to kick off a radio program that will be in syndication here shortly. It's called America on the Edge with C.L. Bryant. And Willie, I am inviting you right now to be a regular on with me. And Anita, if she's listening, and all the others who are part our fund to come in and be a part of the show. We'll have folks on like my good friend Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity and folks like that as well. Bishop E.W. Jackson and people like that will be on with me. Alan West, Dr. Carson will be on with us. And so I look forward to all of our voices being heard. And one of the things that I really want to do and encourage all of us to do is make whatever vehicle that God blesses you with available to everyone else so that they can be exposed to it, to the nation. I'm a firm believer that God, if you allow Him to flow things through you, He will continue to give things to you. We are to be conduits, to be a blessing to other people, to give to other people as God blesses you. And the Lord has blessed me, and He is blessing me. And so I would be remiss in handling and being a steward of the blessing if I didn't allow others to be blessed by it. And so I look forward to that. But we'll be kicking off here soon. The website will be up very soon, the America on the Edge with C.L. Bryant. But right now the official website is RevCLBryant.com.
And I'm looking forward to being whatever part that you will allow me to be in that project. Any way I can help, any way that I can be a part, I'm there. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I think that's and I think that you hit on something that's really, really important as we move through these days, is that whatever God blesses you with, the idea is that you share it. God's not trying to get something from you; He's trying to get something to you, and He wants to get it to you. That way, you can share it with other folks. We need, in the days that are coming, we need to have conduits by which people can, use, and we need to be the blessing that people will so badly need. We need to be that resource that they will so badly need. There are some things coming. I mean, I tell people all the time, there's some things coming that a lot of folks will simply not be ready for. Will simply not be ready for. They will have never imagined them, and because that God will have blessed us with ways, if nothing else, to communicate and get the word out, the word of truth out. If nothing else, those will be extremely important, and the idea is not to hoard that blessing. For ourselves and our little groups, is to make sure that as many people who need to have access as possible, because that will be, for a lot of people, that'll be the thing that keeps them hanging on through very, very difficult circumstances.
Absolutely, Willie. And, I think that we have to be ready, particularly those that we are engaged with now, have to be ready to deal with a group of people who are waking up from a deception. And that deception has been this administration led by President Barack Obama. I think that the myth of Obama is being exposed. I tweeted out earlier or put on Facebook that this particular narcissism that has been a part of this presidency is being exposed now. And for some reason, I think that he has been in love with the idea of being president rather than doing the job of president. And for that trust, so many who have trusted in him, of course, I didn't vote for him at either time, but so many did. And because of that, there are some people who are really hurt by the folly of voting for this myth, which was and is Barack Obama. And those people, when they come out from under the fairy dust that had been sprinkled on them, that hope and change would really happen, I think there are us who have been warning them and sounding the alarm. We have to do it with love, but we have to be ready to show them a path that we are on, and one that will be of benefit to them financially, and also will show them the blessings of liberty and the fruits that are yet available in the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America.
That's very interesting, because I think you're right. There is already a lot of disappointment in people that supported the president in both elections, as a matter of fact, and are sorely disappointed for any number of reasons in what the myth was, the story that was told, the narrative that was told and sold, that it is not anywhere near to the degree that they were promised. They were promised something, and it not only didn't they get it, they ended up getting the exact opposite of what they were promised, whether those promises were illicit or implied.
Right.
It's interesting as we have the discussion about the Affordable Care Act in our community. There's a gentleman that I partner with here in Hillsborough County that actually wanted to know more, so he actually signed up to go to some community centers to actually sign folks up in black neighborhoods, and what people found out was that not only wasn't this free, but a lot of them, there was no way in the world they could afford it, because they weren't the poorest of the poor. I mean, if they made more than $11,400, they would have to go over to Medicare, and actually Medicare won't take them in if they make less than that. So they were going to be penalized, and they couldn't afford what was available to them. And
right,
and that was that was how the crystal around the myth was broken. That a lot of things that had been told to them, that were being said to them, simply weren't true, and they left a lot of people left very disappointed.
And Willie, it would have been actually wonderful if you and I and other black conservatives had actually been wrong about this president. And in fact, I really wanted, in my heart of hearts, to be wrong about what was so apparent in this new administration. I wanted to be wrong about what I had said. I would have happily have retracted anything I had warned would happen if this president became president. I wanted this president to be the first president of color and make the memory of my grandparents who longed for the day when there would be a person of color in the White House. My mom and dad did not live to see this day. But unfortunately, he turned out to be exactly what so many of us who look past the emotional part of color and seeing just the color could see. We see a socialist in this office. We see one who really does not care about black folks. He's an elitist, and his programs are geared toward elitism. Only those who have money will escape the pain of the Affordable Health Care Act. We were not wrong, and we're not going to say that we told you so, but the facts speak for themselves. And I always say that our grandparents who looked for this day and did not see it, they deserved better than this president. They deserved better because, unfortunately, I feel that when the pages of history are written about the first African American or black president in America, it will record the administration of a failure. And I take no pleasure in saying things that do not bring this presidency into the best light. I don't do that. I don't take any pleasure in it. But I have to say those things that are true and about any president. And there is one thing that we can say that Obama has done. He has brought equal opportunity to that office because he has proven that black presidents as well as white presidents can be bad presidents, and he has not been a good one.
Well, that's and that's true too. You know, Walter E. Williams wrote an article somewhere, I think it was 2008, 2009, about black people in America. That anybody who had to be first was going to have to be awesome, and he wrapped it around Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson had to not only be a great baseball player on the field, he had to have a whole bunch of other characteristics in his character that allowed him to break the color barrier in Major League Baseball. And that was when he was fighting his very own teammates that didn't want him there, and going to ballpark after ballpark, being harassed by fans and officials and players for the other team. He had to be the best all the time. And what Walter E. Williams said, that Barack Obama is not Jackie Robinson.
No, and my daddy played Negro League baseball with Josh Gibson. He knew Jackie Robinson, and L.C. Bryant was his name. And the stories that I was told by Dad about those great athletes, and so many of them, their names will never be called. You're absolutely right, Willie. Barack Obama is no Jackie Robinson.
No, and that's that's the disappointing part when we start talking about my parents and my grandparents who didn't live long enough to see that there would actually be a person of color in the highest office in the land. How disappointed they might have been that Barack Obama has not lived up to what we would have hoped he would, especially frankly when it concerns the black community. And
Willie, when we look at the NAACP itself, I'm a member of the NAACP, or had been since I was 7 years old, and my parents before me were members of the NAACP. And let me tell you something, man. If they were to come back today and see the type of things that the organization supports and throws its weight behind, and even the type of people who are in office in the NAACP, they would surely think that we have lost our minds and we have lost our way. And some of the things that this president and the Attorney General, the first black Attorney General, hides behind the mantle of color. Let me tell you, Alberto Gonzalez, George W. Bush's first Latino Attorney General, he got fired for firing some attorneys, some lawyers who were not doing their jobs. 3 years later, it was proven that he was right in firing them, and that he himself was fired in error. He should not have been fired. He took a lot of fire behind that. Janet Reno, President Clinton's Attorney General, took a lot of fire from Congress. Richard Nixon's Attorney General, George Mitchell, was put in jail. So for this Attorney General to take the posture that because of his color, somehow he is being mishandled, does not help the narrative of what we are trying to accomplish in this country, and that is to be judged by the content of our character. Quite frankly, Eric Holder has not done a good job in that position, and has nothing to do with his color.
No, he's been an embarrassment and a disaster in that position. And it wouldn't matter that if he were white, blue, green, purple, polka dot. He's been a complete and total disaster in that position. And of course, he needs to be held accountable, and the president needs to be held accountable for not firing him, for not sending him on his way. And because that's the deal, if you have somebody in your organization who's obviously a disaster and a detriment to your organization, then it's up to you. And if you have the power to get rid of them and you don't, then it's on you. And
right.
and I think simply saying that that Fast and Furious is a problem because I'm black is insane. It's insane. Right. To simply say the non-investigation of Benghazi is not a problem. Is only a problem, with Republicans and conservatives because I'm black. That sounds like that sounds like playground stuff. That sounds like the stuff I heard from kids when I taught in middle school.
Exactly
who can take that seriously?
Exactly right, Willie. And let us not forget the IRS scandal.
Yes.
That is going on. And what really appalled me the other day, I have a good friend from Texas. His name is Louis Gohmert, and representative, I believe, the 2nd District there in Texas. And he was questioning the Attorney General. And keep in mind, the Attorney General of the United States, I don't care who he is an employee of the people. And these men who we send to the House of Representatives are just that. They are representatives of the people. They are your voice in Washington. And for the Attorney General to say something to the American people by saying this to Louis Gohmert was disrespectful to us. He said, "You don't want to go there, buddy." I mean, listen, man. You don't talk to your employer that way. Not that Louis Gohmert is his employer, but the people who he represents, the American people that he represents, we pay his salary. And all we wanted was some answers to some questions that trouble us. And for the Attorney General to say back to us after being questioned, "You don't want to go there, buddy," I think he had forgotten that he wasn't talking to Louis Gohmert. He was talking to us. And we had better remember that when people are being questioned by representatives of the House or even the Senate, they're not answering the questions of that senator. They're answering the questions of the American people. And so I was really disturbed by that. And then he left there and went to an Al Sharpton convention. And why he and the president would show up there is, again, beyond explanation.
Well, you know what? It's obvious in that remark, as far as I'm concerned, that Eric Holder has not only a disdain for the individuals in the House that would dare to question him. He has a disdain for the process, and it just came out in that question. It just slipped out. He was kind of out of control. So that was his disdain and lack of respect for the people in the House, and thus his lack of respect for the process. I don't think he has any. I think the president doesn't either. He doesn't have any respect for the process or the office,
right,
or what the offices represent. They don't have any.
Right.
They don't have any respect for that at all. So occasionally you'll hear it in an offhanded comment like, "You don't want to go there, buddy." You'll hear it come out. Their true selves will come out because you know what the word said. The word says, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." So
yes,
so if you pay attention, you'll see it. They'll say it. Yes. They always do. They always do. They always speak what's in their heart, and that's what we saw with Eric Holder's remarks to Representative Gohmert. That he doesn't have any respect for Gohmert or the process or the American people. They're really of the mind that they can and will do anything they want, however they want to, and we are not to question. We are simply to obey.
Well, Willie, I'm going to have to run and catch a plane.
Okay,
and,
well,
get home,
I didn't know.
And it has been a joy.
It's been awesome. Thank you. Thank
and
you ever so much.
God bless and God keep you, and we'll do it again often.
Thank you ever so much. We appreciate it, and again, have a fantastic flight today. God bless you, and give your wonderful family a hug for me when you see him.
I will certainly do it. We'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. Thanks again.
Bye now.
All right. Okay, that was C.L. Bryant. C.L. Bryant is on the board of advisors of the Black Conservatives Fund. This is a brand new PAC. You can go to www.blackconservativesfund.com to check out exactly what this PAC is all about, and you can see the other of the board members that are on this PAC: Eric Rush, Alfonso Rachel, Ron Miller, Kevin Daniels, C.L. Bryant, Sonny Johnson, Priscilla Smith, Ken Blackwell, K. Carl Smith, and Anita Moncrief, all serving on the board of advisors. And we're going to let's see, we've got, and it scares me because we have a Skype call. We're going to go ahead and answer it. Let's see here. On line one, Skype call from line one. Thanks for calling. How may I help you?
Hello, Willie. You're back on again.
Yeah. I'm healthy enough to do it. How you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Well, that's nice. Oh, you been sick?
Yeah, I had triple bypass surgery in January, so I was a little under the weather.
Well, it's good you're back on your feet.
Well, it is. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I wanted to ask the question.
Yes,
because I don't like. Let me see. I use the word bless God. People say God bless you, but I said bless God. When you're blessing God, you don't do things in order to hurt and harm people. You just had surgery, open bypass surgery.
Yes, I did. Triple bypass surgery. I sure did.
So how do they bless God when they do things that I'm looking at? It's like, let's take Gohmert to what he did to Eric Holder. Now, do you think that was right?
What did he do to Eric Holder?
By the things that he said to him, calling him incompetent, like he was a dummy, and all of this unnecessary, that had nothing to do with the American people. So do you think that was right?
I think it's okay that people speak their mind. And in that position, if Gohmert believes that another employee who serves at the pleasure of the president is incompetent, then I don't have any problem. I don't have any problem with that. Gohmert can't.
But if you're incompetent, okay. Well, I think he's incompetent because he's not doing the job for the American people. He's arguing with somebody about something that's not even necessary. I mean, the way he did it, he could have did it in a mannerable way, in an impressionable way, but not act like you sitting on a ship of the slave master talking down to somebody. Well, so they're both supposed to be educated. So why didn't they do it on the educated level?
Well, you can continue to be angry.
I'm not angry.
Or upset with how somebody presents their opinion.
I'm just asking if it's right. That's all. I'm just saying. God wouldn't approve of it.
I don't
think so?
Well, you know what? I don't have any problem with what Gohmert said, or I don't have any problem with even how we delivered it. We can argue all night about could he have been nicer about it, but
I'm just asking a question because the way he attacked Eric Holder, and Eric Holder, what he said, I don't have no problem with that either because Gohmert asked for what he got.
Well, then we don't have anything to talk about.
Why couldn't he be like the other Congress people that asked him questions?
Well, I thought that the way that I thought the way that Holder responded was disrespectful. And if you think that Gohmert was disrespectful,
he was.
Okay, then
we all don't see everything alike. So I was just wanting to know about your opinion and how it was.
And there's no way that I can. There's no way that I can. That we can get into a discussion that means anything Mays, if we've already decided, you and I have already decided, you think that Gohmert was disrespectful, and I think that Holder was disrespectful. Okay, then that's how it is.
Yes, but I was just wondering to see what your view was on it, because we all have different opinions. We all don't have facts, only speaks for itself, and some of the things that we hear is not factual through a whole lot of people that we're listening to, from Democrats and Republicans.
Oh, sure.
From Democrats and Republicans.
But truer words have never been spoken. You're right, because a lot of times we hear stuff that whoever says it, it's a lie falling out of their face. You're right.
And a lot of people think like he's going to pick up something and it's not true, and they never go to find out if it's true or not. They just carry it on and pass it on and pass it on, and to get to the end, and then the great person or the nice person that was in the whole deal, they get destroyed out of it because you got an angry person in the midst of it. And sometimes we have to research and look at what we're looking at and stop being led by other people and use our own mind and find things.
Well, that's very true.
No party. Well, I mean, we drop the parties and being human beings and see if you want somebody to have a conversation with you like that, or would you do the things that you were looking at if you was in his place? Would you have approached him that way if you wasn't a Republican or a Democrat or just a human being?
Well, that's hard to say, because you know what, I've approached people in a similar manner in a similar situation. So I'm not the one to jump on my high horse and say every time that I have a tense situation that I handle it correctly all the time. There have been, I think in most people's lives they can go back and look at how they handle a situation. They could say, yeah, under different circumstances I might have handled that differently. So I'm not one who's going to jump up and down and point and scream and yell when I think somebody might have handled something better, because we could have all handled something better, and in both of those instances, with Louis Gohmert and Eric Holder, it could be said that both of those grown men could have handled that situation a lot better. I think that and you could say that both of them failed in how they handled that situation.
But that would be a better case than to just put it on looking at one person. So we just have to have human respect.
Well, I think
if you're going to respect one, respect all, and it'll be balanced out that way. But I'm glad that you're better, and I'm glad to hear your voice, and you're back on your feet. Even if I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, you can still have a decent conversation.
Well, you're a human being, and you and I have talked for a long time, Maze, long time.
On a human level. And leave the parties in the name calling away. And we can have a good conversation and end it in a nice way. And you have a great day.
Well, thanks so much, Maze. I appreciate you. Have a fantastic rest of the day now.
You too.
I appreciate it. I will. Yeah, Maze has been calling the show since 2008. We've had ongoing conversations since 2008. There's not much that we agree on, except that we have agreed to at least to be civil to one another when we can, and I think that that's an important thing. And I think that's part of the Black Conservative Fund, is that when we enter these, when you go to communities, when you come to the Black community, the mistake that Republicans have made and continue to make is that they come with the anti-Barack Obama banner flying. And I did a video last week, and I said that, that because people are upset or worried about that the only candidates that they'll have to vote for in 2016 will be Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton. And I said to Republicans, here's the deal. If that's the case, well, I don't know if that's the case. There hasn't been one caucus or one primary. So to say that Jeb Bush is going to be the Republican candidate at this point, unless you have a crystal ball and have 6 numbers for the lotto on Saturday, I don't want to hear it. If you've got 6 numbers and a Powerball number, go ahead and email me those numbers if you can tell the future. So I don't know. We don't know. And if it ends up that way, Republicans only have themselves to blame by making everybody go through these impossible purity tests that no one could pass. And spending 6 years instead of developing candidates, instead of going into communities that that a lot of us said that we have to go into, and developing candidates from those communities, and having that farm team that we talked about. Instead of doing that, you spend 6 years fighting Obama and Obamacare. And so when you get down to the nitty-gritty and you need somebody to run for president, who have you groomed? What 2 or 3 people have you groomed? Because the second that somebody stood up to do something, you had people like John McCain call them loony birds or whatever he called Rand Paul. So of course, Republicans have nobody but themselves to blame. If the odds-on favorite for the Republican nomination isn't whom you want, Republicans have nobody to blame but themselves, because you spent a whole bunch of time, energy, and effort on everything but yourself. It would be like it's like the Cleveland Browns. Excuse me, ladies, for the sports analogy. It's like the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns did not go to Johnny Manziel's pro day. They didn't go to Javian Clowney's pro day either. It's like they're not even trying. You're like, come on, Cleveland, you're Cleveland. You're the Cleveland Browns. You suck, and everybody knows it. So you didn't go to Javon Clowney's pro day, who could be the first player chosen in the draft. You didn't go to Johnny Manziel's pro day, who may be the first quarterback in the draft. It's like you're not even trying to make yourself better. And so, GOP, you hired 2 people, Rafi Williams, Juan Williams' kid, and Amani Council, nice folks, to sort of lead in this weird effort of outreach. But you didn't take it one step. But you didn't go to the next step. It's like you're not even trying to help yourself. It's like you're not even trying to help yourself. And I'll go back to the state parties, Lenny Curry in Florida. It's like you're not even trying to help yourself. So when conservatives are upset or Republicans are upset about not voting for the possibility of not voting for Jeb Bush, nice job. It's a situation that you created yourself. You created yourself. You didn't do your work in all the right communities. So you get what you deserve. There you go. All right, we're going to get out of here. I'd like to thank my guest, C.L. Bryant, for coming on, and thank you, Mays, for calling. I appreciate that, and your well wishes to my health. And thank you, Mary and Melinda and Ken and EC for being in the chat room. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. And we're going to get out of here, and because I got to take a nap. We have church this afternoon. Again, thanks again. And if you would do me the big solid, would you take this show and its URL and share it with your friends if you thought it was enjoyable, if you thought it was interesting, you share it with your friends. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much for coming to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. And just like always, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye now.